The 2011 University of Washington Freshman Convocation will be opened with the singing of the Star-Spangled Banner by Chris Kaldoukas, accompanied by the University Wind Ensemble, conducted by Professor Timothy Saltzman of the School of Music. Mr. Kaldoukas is a freshman and plans to major in music. The audience will please rise.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave? Oh, the land of the free and the home of the brave.
I'm Ronald Moore, the University Marshal. In my regular job, I'm a professor of philosophy in our philosophy department. But as University Marshal, I have the honor and privilege of offering you our first words of official greeting. 4 years from now, I'll have the equally pleasing opportunity to give you our official last words when I declare that the 140th commencement exercises of the University of Washington are now closed. There's a gratifying symmetry in this hail and farewell, a symmetry that's reflected as well in the 4 Ionic columns you see before you. These are replicas of the original columns that graced the facade of the university. Its first building was built 150 years ago in 1861 on a rise in downtown Seattle, a piece of property that the university still owns, but is currently occupied by the Fairmont Olympic Hotel. And these same columns will be prominently displayed on the stage in Husky Stadium when you march up to graduate. If you look around at the mezzanine level, you'll see banners identifying each of the university's schools and colleges, arranged in historical order, beginning with the College of Arts and Sciences and ending with the School of Public Health. Come graduation day, some of you will be carrying these banners, and the rest of you will be parading behind them according to your school or college. The columns and the banners are cherished parts of our University of Washington traditions. And as you join the life of the university, you become part of our traditions. Our experiences of the cycles of beginning, development, and ending become your experience. But it's important to remember that it's not just this university's life and traditions you're joining. Instead, you are entering into the life and traditions of an ancient and continuous body of learning that connects us to the earliest universities in Europe, indeed, ultimately, to Plato's Academy in the 4th century BC. A little plug there for philosophy. These connections are symbolized in the medieval caps and gowns that we wear on these occasions, and of course, by the special ritual object the University Marshal carries in our ceremonies, the mace. The mace is an ancient symbol of authority that reminds us that universities are custodians both of enduring traditions of learning and of the power they bestow on those who come to learn. The University of Washington mace is embellished with finely wrought metal sculptures of the university seal and Denny Hall, and topped by a graceful rendition of Drumheller Fountain. Now, it was at one time a weapon, and I'm told that not too long ago at Yale University, the University Marshal actually used the mace to escort a student who'd grabbed the microphone to make a political speech, to escort him from the stage. I thought something like that was going to happen here a few years ago, too. At commencement exercises, just as we were closing, a student came up and grabbed the mic, and I thought, oh boy, here's my chance. But all he did was, when he got to the microphone, shout, "Wendy, will you marry me?" And of course, she shouted yes. Don't get any ideas, please. The mace and all these other festive ritual ingredients are simply symbolic reminders of the university's special way of uniting where we are now with what has brought us here, so that we can get a good fix on where we are going. And it's great that we're going there together. This brings me to the nature of this event itself. It's an important function of ritual occasions such as this to punctuate the inevitable flow of experience, to pause and reflect on where we are, what has gone before, where we're going. John Dewey, the great American 20th century philosopher, pointed out that value most readily accrues to experiences when we articulate them into episodes with beginnings and middles and ends, and then take time to think about what those episodes mean. It's all too easy in our busy modern world to be thinking about breakfast while we're having a shower, then thinking about a history assignment while we're gulping down breakfast, and then thinking about plans for a lunch date while we're sitting in our history class, and so on. Dewey's message was, stop. Enjoy the shower with its beginning and its middle and its end. And when it's over, then say to yourself, now that was a shower. And likewise with breakfast and the history class and all the other events of the day. At the University of Washington, we regard festive ceremonies like this as an occasion to stop and reflect. In beginning your studies here, you're ending one stage of your lives. Think about it. And you're starting another. Think about that. In a few years at commencement, you'll look back at the whole of your undergraduate life here and reflect with pride and pleasure on what it all meant. A convocation is, as those of you who recall your high school Latin may remember, a calling together. Today we call together our incoming students, their families and friends, so we may celebrate with you the beginning of university education and welcome you all to membership in our campus community. By calling all of us, students, faculty, families, friends, together in this place, we're underscoring a point of cooperation and mutual commitment. You, students and your parents and relatives, are now members of the University of Washington family. Like families everywhere, we will be sharing our concerns, our affections, our aspirations, and our devotion to the project of creating a better future. We sincerely hope that these newly forged family connections will be lifelong bonds of friendship and allegiance. And we hope that you will always feel as proud and happy about us as we already feel about you, this outstanding incoming class. And now I'd like to introduce our stage party, beginning, of course, with the president of the University of Washington, whom you'll be hearing from later in the program. Please join me in welcoming our new president, Michael K. Young. The university's Board of Regents consists of 10 citizens of the state who are appointed by the governor and confirmed by the state senate. These dedicated men and women devote many hours each year to the welfare of the university. 5 of the regents are with us this morning, and I would like to introduce them at this time. Please hold your applause until all are introduced. Regent Christiane Blake, Chair. Regent Joanne Harrell. Regent Sally Jewell. Regent Herb Simon. Student Regent Kelsey Knowles. Ladies and gentlemen, the Regents of the University of Washington. Also seated with us on the platform are the deans of the university's 16 schools and colleges, the senior administrative leadership of the university, faculty members, representatives from the student body, the faculty senate, and the Alumni Association. Would all of you please stand and allow us to thank you for being with us? And lastly, please join me in thanking Professor Timothy Saltzman and our Student Wind Ensemble who are playing such wonderful music today. Now I'd like to introduce your student body president, a political science major who has just entered his senior year as the new president of the Associated Students of the University of Washington, Connor McLean.
Thank you. To the students, family members, and friends, it is my pleasure to welcome you to the University of Washington. I'm here today to give you a brief insight into the real life of a student here at the UW. College will present you with many choices and opportunities that will put you out of your comfort zone, and students, you will finally be forced to do that one thing that your parents have held over your shoulders since high school. Act like an adult. I know that may be scary for some of you, but it's okay, because as much as college is about making choices and facing new situations, it's also about making mistakes. Which brings me to the parents and family members in this auditorium. If you are the idealist who expects your student to sail through college, conquering all their hardships and overcoming every obstacle in their path, I have great news for you. Tuition isn't due for another 2 weeks. You still have time to pull your student out before shattering that expectation. In all seriousness, students, you're about to begin one of the most fun times of your entire life, but it will also be one of the most intense. You'll be choosing majors that will set the course for the rest of your life, some of you 3 or 4 times. I'm serious, it's happened to me. It's a time in your life when you will be accountable for all the decisions you make, and no one will be there to hold your hand when those decisions become mistakes. But I can tell you from personal experience that the mistakes I have made in college have helped define who I am as much, if not more, than those that were right decisions. The decisions and mistakes that you will make here are going to be what will fulfill your college experience. When I entered the UW, I had a fear that I wouldn't find a home at the UW because it was so large. To solve this problem, I came up with a brilliant solution. I wanted to be the most involved student ever, to be in every group I could possibly be in. So during dog days, I went to an event every hour of every day, signed up for emails for at least 50 student groups. It wasn't until my inbox was overfilled with spam and group messages that I realized that this had been a mistake. I was so stressed and stretched thin that I didn't know what to do. Now this leads me to my next piece of advice. I've been at this university for 4 years now. This will be my 5th. During this time, there's one thing I wish I had been told upon entering that would have been the key to my success in these times that I failed. Luckily for you students, I'm about to impart that infallible wisdom, so you do not succumb to those same hardships. Call home. It's not that hard. I'm serious. This will save you so much conflict later on. However, to those parents and family members, please realize that your student's preferred form of communication may be different than yours. As a student who's personally experienced this, there's a simple test, parents, that you can do right now to determine whether you are technologically capable of staying in ready communication with your student. Tweet, poke, hashtag T9 Facebook me. Now, if any of those words confused you, you still have a few hours before you leave your student here. Please let them bring you up to date on technology. Now, getting back to my story, once I did receive that advice from my parents, I chose a couple groups I was especially passionate about and dedicated myself to them. I did better in my classes, I did better in school, I met new friends, and I found the UW to be a much closer community than I had thought. Because this university is such a large place, there are that many more opportunities for you to become engaged with those around you. And like me, you will find your place in this seemingly daunting university. I started off by searching for a community during dog days, and there I found my involvement through the residence halls. When I was a freshman, I was enrolled in a FIG. 2 years later, I became a FIG leader. I took a campus tour as a freshman and became a tour guide my sophomore year. I enjoyed my summer orientation, and so after my sophomore year, I became an orientation leader. Being involved in the student senate on this campus led me to the ASUW and eventually to the stage here today. What will your story be in 4 years? Will the new things that you try and become involved in, where will they lead you? When you went to orientation this past summer, you were asked 2 questions. How will you be different because you came to the UW? And how will the UW be different because you came here? So let me close by saying, you get out of life what you put into it. What an opportunity you have coming to the UW to put your heart and soul into the school and begin the most amazing experience of your entire life. And now one last piece of advice. Be careful on the purple t-shirts. I have over 27. I just really, really hope purple never goes out of style. Thank you very much.
A word of explanation. Connor mentioned that he got involved with a FIG. A FIG is a freshman interest group, by the way. One of the things we want to do today is to introduce you, the freshman class and entering students, to our faculty and deans and the university community. At the same time, we also want to tell them a little bit about you. There's no one more familiar with the freshman class than our Dean of Undergraduate Academic Affairs, Dr. Ed Taylor. Dean Taylor is a graduate of Gonzaga University who received his PhD from the University of Washington. He's been a member of the faculty in the College of Education since 1994. Please join me in welcoming Dean Ed Taylor.
Christopher Koldukas, that was a wonderful anthem. Powerful freshman. Thank you for that. That was wonderful. Before I say something about this class, I'd like all of you to take a moment and just look around at what we've created here. That we, in effect, surround these young people with our collective wisdom and our love. And it's fitting that we're not sitting with them right now, but we're kind of holding them in the light. We've created a kind of a metaphorical ring of support as they enter into this university. You'll hear this at least once or twice, but those parents and loved ones and guardians that are here, you've done well. Congratulations. And there'll be many, many powerful moments at this university, and in the next 3 hours, there will be one of them, and we get to watch, because there'll be a moment when you turn, if we do this right, you turn and you go one way, and they will turn and go another, if we do it right. And it will be one of the more powerful moments that we get to see here. It is, in effect, a remarkable act of faith and trust at the end of the day. It's your faith in us and our faith in you and our collective faith in them as they go forward. Let me say something about you sitting in the middle, this incoming class. As we enter this sesquicentennial moment. In 1876, Clara McCarty was the first graduate from the university in sciences, and she went on to become a teacher. It's interesting to imagine what she would think of and what the founders of this territorial university would think of if they saw this class. 25,000 students applied to become students at this university, 25,000, out of which we selected over 5,800, 5,800, the largest class we've ever had. I wonder if they would be impressed by your 3.75 grade point average. You've been good students, 3.75 grade point average. But you know something, that alone did not get you into this university. You have powerful stories. You have unique stories. You come from 50 states and 90 different countries. 90 countries. Many of you are second and third and fourth generation Huskies. 30% of you, 30%, will be the first in your family to go to a university. And this is the university you chose. We're so proud of you. Yes, you can applaud for that. Yes, indeed. You're interesting for other reasons. As I was walking around and listening to you check into the residence halls, check into Poplar Hall, walk around Red Square during dog days, I was listening to you. I was listening to the music that you were listening to. I was asking you what you were listening to. I heard you speak of Lady Gaga. I heard Justin Bieber. I heard Blue Scholars. I heard something about jazz and Latin. I heard Macklemore. I heard Mafi Sakolo, a South African group. I swear I walked by a room and I heard the Temptations. Or was it just my imagination? They got it. You don't understand what I'm saying. They got it. That tells you a little something about a gap that we could talk about later. You come from all over the place, some quite close. From Inglemoor, 77 students. Newport High School, 76, a lot from Issaquah High School. We've had more students from Franklin than we've ever had before, joining over 70 students from Garfield. So Garfield and Franklin, you're not rivals anymore, you're brothers and sisters. Right? Ilani High School in Hawaii, 13 students from that high school alone. And we are equally proud of the one student that comes from Trout Lake. We won't put you back. You belong here. The one student that comes from Mapton High School, from Zilla High School, the one student from Mossy Rock. We are equally proud of you. We're equally proud of those several students that were homeschooled who come to us. You come from around the world, students from Kuwait, Morocco, Jordan. We say, Ahlan wa sahlan, welcome to the university. Those students from China, Huan Ying, welcome to the university. Those students from Mexico, Argentina, Colombia, and Spain, bienvenidos, welcome to the university. 9 students came from New York. We say, how you doing? Right? All right, enough of that. 22 from Texas. 85 students crossed the border from Oregon. And you're Huskies. Oh, it gets better. It gets better. It gets better. A number of students put Pullman, Washington in their rearview mirror, saw the light, in search of a world-class higher education, and you're here. I'm not meaning anything by that, I'm just saying. You'll be joined by military veterans, you'll be joined by your brothers and sisters from Bothell and Tacoma, you'll be joined by students from community colleges all around the country, all making up this sesquicentennial class. And because we are a research university, because we're about discovery and solving problems, starting tomorrow, you'll enter classrooms, you'll start your learning, and you'll think seriously about the eradication of poverty and homelessness, about the sustainability of our cities and our environment, our oceans, perhaps the transformation of an urban school or a rural school, improving the world through music, through art, through dance, through scientific discovery. I could go on and on and on, but maybe W.E.B. Du Bois said it most simply before the turn of the century when he looked to an audience and he said, here is the chance for young men and women of devotion, your young men and women of devotion, to lift up the banner of humanity and march toward a civilization that is free, that's intelligent, that is healthy and unafraid. That's what we wish for you. I have one thing to ask, for you to stay seated, for everyone around them to stand up, please. Everyone around to stand up. As we form the circle, and join me, raise your hands in the air. Just raise your hands, everybody raise your hands. And join me in applauding this freshman class and do it loud enough that our students at Bothell and our students in Tacoma and these students here will feel the love that we feel for them as we welcome them to this university.
Well, we've learned a good deal about you, our incoming class. Now we'd like to introduce you to some of the faculty members who will be your teachers and mentors for the next 4 years. They're experts in nearly every imaginable field, and every day they're engaged in research and scholarship that is quite literally changing the world in which we live. One person who knows our faculty very well indeed is our interim provost, Doug Wadden. The provost is the university's chief academic officer and the person who works most closely with the deans and the faculty to shape your academic experience. In addition to being our interim provost, Doug holds the Marcia and J. Glazer Endowed University Professorship and is an internationally recognized design consultant. He has been a member of the School of Art faculty since 1970 and has served with distinction as the chair of the Faculty Senate. Please join me in welcoming Interim Provost Doug Wadden.
Thank you, Ron, and good morning. On behalf of the faculty, I want to join the rest of the voices on stage in welcoming you to the University of Washington. I'd like to introduce you to our faculty, some of whom are sitting behind me and greeted you when you entered the arena this morning. Of course, I can't possibly cover all the activities. Among our 4,300 faculty members, you will find 6 Nobel Prize winners, over 100 members of the Institute of Medicine and the National Academies of Science and Engineering, over 65 members of the Academy of Arts and Sciences, and over 140 fellows in the American Association for the Advancement of Science. Our faculty also includes 14 MacArthur Fellows, and we are very pleased to introduce the newest recipient of a MacArthur Fellowship awarded just 5 days ago, Shwetak Patel, who is an assistant professor in the departments of Computer Science and Engineering and Electrical Engineering. Dr. Patel, would you please stand? MacArthur Fellowships are often referred to as Genius Awards, and so they bring with them not only a great deal of prestige, but apparently they make the winner the target of endless genius jokes. We promise not to embarrass Dr. Patel today, and in fact we think the term genius is most aptly applied to him. He has won numerous awards for his visionary inventions that can detect and measure household energy consumption without an elaborate network of expensive instruments. In 2005, his work was honored by the New York Times as the top technology of the year. In 2009, he won the Massachusetts Institute of Technology's Technology Review TR35 Award for innovators under the age of 35. And he was recently named a Microsoft Research Faculty Fellow. Please join me in congratulating Shwetak Patel on being named a 2011 MacArthur Fellow. The scholarship, teaching, and service of all of our brilliant faculty members make it possible for this university to offer you over 250 degree options. That's across more than 150 different programs. This is one of the top 10 public institutions in the nation. So I'd like to give you a brief glimpse into some of the work that they are engaged in, work that frequently involves undergraduates just like yourself. About a quarter of our students assist in the research laboratories of our faculty. Some start even before they become freshmen. Many others become involved during their first few quarters here. A wonderful example of undergraduate achievement comes from the Department of Bioengineering, where undergraduates founded Bioengineers Without Borders to provide low-cost bioengineering solutions to global health problems. The group is completely student-run and now includes nearly 40 undergraduates, mostly from bioengineering, but also from electrical engineering and physics. Dr. Daniel Ratner, Assistant Professor of Bioengineering, serves as the group's faculty advisor. Dr. Ratner, would you stand? We also have several students in the group with us today. Would you stand? Bioengineers Without Borders recently created a medical device to help communities in the developing world with the diagnosis of jaundice. And students in the group are currently developing another device that utilizes cell phone technology to allow minimally trained healthcare workers to conduct point-of-care diagnostics. The group's awards include first prize at the National Academy of Engineers Student Design Competition, as well as numerous national prizes in global social entrepreneurship. Thank you. If your interest is history, You might find your work as an undergraduate featured on the websites of the Pacific Northwest Labor and Civil Rights Projects. The director of the project is Professor James Gregory. Professor Gregory holds the Harry Bridges Endowed Chair of Labor Studies. These projects are among the most important online resources for U.S. history. They have been quoted in major newspapers and scholarly studies and are currently used in numerous history and social studies classes at the college and the K-12 level. UW undergraduates have contributed significantly through their research and writing to the content of these websites. Some of you might find yourselves in the lab of Dr. Erica Harnett. Dr. Harnett is a research assistant professor in the Department of Earth and Space Sciences and the associate director of the Washington NASA Space Grant. She studies the effect of the sun's radiation on the space environment surrounding different planets and moons in the solar system. This work is important for understanding radiation hazards for future astronauts and for the origin of phenomena like the aurora borealis, those amazing light displays in the sky that we see in the northern latitudes and that also occur in the South Pole. Undergraduates in her lab have studied how Jupiter's atmosphere is affected by its volcanic moon, Io, and how the solar winds, the stream of atomic particles ejected by our sun, creates geomagnetic storms on Earth, storms that affect satellites and a wide range of communication systems. Some of these students have presented their research at international conferences. There are so many other programs that I'd like to tell you about, but let me just quickly mention two others. Each year, scores of UW students spend a quarter or more studying at the university's Rome Center, housed in a magnificent 17th century palazzo at the Campo de Fiori in the historic heart of Rome. You'll be able to take part in this kind of global learning at many other sites around the world. The Mary Gates Endowment for Scholars is another program that has given thousands of undergraduates the opportunity to pursue their own projects, which range from research in genetics and neuroscience to the arts to establishing free chess programs in Seattle's public elementary schools. These are just some of the opportunities for you as undergraduates, and there are many, many more that I hope you will take time to discover. They're developed for you by professors who are among the leading scholars and researchers in the world. These educators make it possible for us to offer our undergraduates an amazing and unique educational experience. I know you'll all work hard. I know you'll want to know there are exciting prospects in your future, a future that may be much closer than you think. The world of tomorrow is being created right here at the University of Washington, and I know you'll be an important part of it. I wish you all the very best, and I look forward to seeing you on campus.
And now, please welcome the chair of the University of Washington's Board of Regents, Christiane Blake, who will introduce our speaker.
Thank you, Professor Morse. It is my great pleasure today to introduce the President of the University of Washington. As you may know, you and he have something in common, since this is also his first year here. As one of the three regents who sat on the Presidential Search Committee, I thought I might share with you just a few of the reasons that we feel so very fortunate to have President Young at the helm of this great school. President Young brings with him a unique combination of extensive scholarship, broad international and governmental experience, and business development in an academic setting. He founded the Japanese and Korean law programs at Columbia University and was a professor there for 20 years. He was later dean of the George Washington University Law School. He has written and published in a variety of areas, including Japanese law, international trade and environmental law, dispute resolution, labor relations, industrial policy, and human rights. He has held several governmental positions, including Ambassador of Trade and Environmental Affairs in the Department of State during the presidency of the first President Bush. And during his term as president of the University of Utah, the position he held before he came here, that school led the nation in the number of new companies generating income from university research. President Young also possesses another quality that to us is just as exciting as his impressive credentials. He is passionate about higher education. He brings with him a deep understanding of the role that higher education will play in the 21st century and a clear vision of how the University of Washington can continue to rise as a global leader on that stage. He understands very well the challenges that this university, and indeed universities across the nation, are facing today. But he also knows how critical the scholarship and research that occurs here is to your education and to our state's well-being. There is one other thing, and perhaps the simplest way I can put it is this: you are going to like this man. He is dedicated and inspiring. He is frank, yet unassuming, forward-thinking, but down to earth, and I think, as you will see, not afraid to poke fun at himself. In a job as daunting as the presidency of a university, these qualities will no doubt serve him well and contribute mightily to what we are confident will be a long and immensely successful time here at the University of Washington. I am honored to present to you the President of the University of Washington, Michael K. Young.
Regent Blake, thank you. You have no idea what a great day this is. I have spent my whole life wanting just once to be applauded on a basketball court. Thank you. I am delighted to be here and honored to have an opportunity to speak with you. As Regent Blake remarked, I'm new as well. This is my first major academic ceremony, and also an opportunity for me to pause with you and reflect for a moment. And I'm thrilled to be embarking on this new venture with all of you. It's an exciting time for both of us, made all more so by the fact that we're celebrating the university's 150th anniversary. Another opportunity for us to pause and to reflect. And the path that each of you has taken is different, one from another, and probably different from me. I've taken a little longer time to get here, and it'll probably take me a little longer to leave. But nevertheless, we've arrived at the same exciting point in our UW experience. As Ed mentioned, 25,000 students hope to be sitting where you are today. But we salute you. You were selected because they saw something extraordinary in each of you. Abilities, commitment, drive, intelligence. Something that the graduates of this university have been known for 150 years. And we're thrilled and delighted to welcome you into that group. But it isn't just your high test scores and your brilliance, it is that dedication, that passion, that commitment that we saw. Our admissions officers read every single application, and they see something in each person that's sitting here with us today. That is exciting. But even at these impressive attributes, I don't think many of you got here alone. Each one of you has someone, sometimes several someones, who helped on that long journey. And another great Husky attribute we're going to talk about today is gratitude. So I'd like to take just a moment today to thank those people. Could I get all of the mothers, grandmothers, anyone who's feeling motherly or maternal towards a graduate to stand up today? Would you graduates students let them know how much you appreciate that? Now, you may have noticed each one of those, with a little tear in their eye, nevertheless are sketching out the use for your room as soon as they go back home. But fathers are also important, and if we could get the fathers and grandfathers and anyone feeling particularly paternal towards a student today, if you'd stand as well and let us thank you and let your students thank you. Thank you. We will do this again in 4 years, and do understand, Connor notwithstanding, we want you out of here in 4 years. We love you, having you here, and we really want to see you go as well. But in 4 years, we'll have a chance to thank again, as that reflects the attributes that are important in a Husky. Gratitude, a sense of generational connection, just one of the many traditions that have been true of this university for so long. But I want to talk today about two other traditions that you have now adopted as you have become Huskies. As many on this stand will tell you, wearing a cowboy hat is not one of them. You're welcome, but it really isn't a Husky tradition. But I'm doing it with a reason, and the reason is I want to be just a little autobiographical. I want to talk today about how I ended up where you are and how I ended up here. I remember I grew up in the 1950s, and as all young boys my age, particularly in my small town of 3,000 people, we grew up watching Roy Rogers and the Lone Ranger and Gene Autry, and saw those vistas and saw the wonderful opportunity to chase the bad guys, to round up cattle, and I thought nothing could be greater. I really wanted to be a cowboy. I thought that would be a terrific opportunity. My mother wasn't so sure that that should be the full reach of my aspirations, and tended to give me books from time to time. And in the process, she gave me a book about lawyers. She gave me a couple of books about lawyers, Louis Niser's book, F. Lee Bailey's book. And I was excited and challenged by what I read. I thought how great it would be to have those kinds of exciting opportunities and to use the skills they had developed to actually help people, to make their lives better, to solve disputes, to see justice done to people to whom injustice was being done. I thought that would be